Vault-Tec told you they were saving humanity. Well, obviously, they lied. Vault 21 forced its residents to gamble for everything, from food and water to their very lives. Vault 92 pumped white noise into sleeping residents until they snapped and massacred each other. And Vault 11 told its people that one person had to be sacrificed every single year, or else everybody in the vault would die. They were lying about that last part, by the way. We've always written these off as Vault-Tec being evil. Sadistic experiments by a corporation with too much power and zero accountability. But what if that's exactly what they wanted you to think? What if every single vault, all 122 of them, was never really about saving humanity at all? What if they were all asking the same question? What if... Before we go down this rabbit hole real quick, here's what you need to know. Vault-Tec was a pre-war corporation backed by the United States government, and they built vaults which are giant underground bunkers designed to shelter Americans from nuclear war. On paper, they were the heroes and saviors of the human race. In reality, they were running experiments on everybody inside these vaults. Now, if you played the games before, you already know this. But here's what most people gloss over: the absolute scale of it all. We're talking 122 known vaults, thousands of residents each, decades of data collection. So the question every Fallout fan should be asking isn't what were they testing, it's why. And more importantly, for whom. Because here's the thing nobody talks about. Vault-Tec didn't design these experiments randomly. When you step back and look at all of them together, there's a pattern. A disturbing, specific, unmistakable pattern. Every single experiment tests one thing and one thing alone. What does it take to make humans submit to control? Let's start with the vaults that were clearly testing how far people would follow orders. In Vault 11, residents were told by a computer that one person had to be voluntarily sacrificed every year or the vault systems would kill everybody inside the vault. They complied, and for decades, generation after generation, they held votes, they picked someone and they sent them out to die. When a certain group finally refused, the vault actually congratulated them. Because that was the test all along. How long until someone says no? The answer was a very, very long time. Didn't take my crush that long ago. Then there's Vault 29. Only children were allowed in, raised entirely by Zax, a supercomputer with no adult supervision. The experiment was, can an AI raise an obedient civilization from scratch without any competing human authority figures? And then there's Vault 81, where residents were unknowingly used as test subjects for disease research. The actual girl was developing cures, but the people inside didn't know that. They were just living their lives while being studied. And what exactly do these three vaults have in common? They're all testing what happens when authority is either artificial, absent, or completely hidden. Vault-Tec wasn't asking whether people would follow rules. They already knew the answer to that. They were asking who or what do people need the authority to come from. If you're enjoying the video so far, consider leaving a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Let's look at the vaults designed to break society and see what survives afterward. In Vault 92, white noise was pumped into the headphones of sleeping residents, designed to trigger violent psychotic breaks. The residents didn't know. Scientists in a sealed observation wing watched the chaos unfold from a safe distance. While in Vault 15, 4 different cultural groups with completely incompatible ideologies were sealed in together. No experiment instructions, just survive. And what came out of Vault 15 exactly? The Cans, the Vipers, the Jackals, 3 of the most powerful raider gangs in the Mojave, and eventually Shady Sands, the birthplace of the NCR. Vault 84, on the other hand, massively overstocked with weapons and ammunition, while chronically understocked with food and supplies. All this on top of an already overcrowded vault. But at least they had a pool. I mean, what did they expect to happen? And finally, Vault 77, where a single man was kept with a crate full of puppets. Okay, that one might just be chaos for chaos' sake, but even that tests something. Human psychology in total isolation. We're starting to see a pattern here, aren't we? This isn't random cruelty for the sake of being cruel. These vaults are all probing the specific breaking point of human social structures. At what resource scarcity level does violence become inevitable? Which ideological combinations are most explosive, and how does a hierarchy collapse? This is not the data of a company trying to save humanity, but instead of someone trying to understand exactly how to destabilize a civilization and what emerges when you do. And in Vault 101, residents were told falsely that the outside world was still uninhabitable. The vault was never meant to open in the first place, ever. They were testing whether a completely closed and completely controlled society could sustain itself indefinitely, and whether the residents would ever figure out that they were being lied to. While Vault 81 had its residents unknowingly funding medical research, Vault 101 had its residents unknowingly trapped, and Vault 11 had its residents unknowingly passing a test. Are you seeing it yet? In almost every single case, the residents don't know the real purpose of their vault. The experiment only works if the subjects believe they're living normally. That is the single most consistent thread across all 122 vaults. Vault-Tec wasn't testing what humans do, they were testing what humans do when they don't know they're being tested. And that is a very specific kind of research. So here's my theory, and I want you to really sit with this. Vault-Tec was building a manual for total societal control. Think about what they actually collected data on. How long populations would obey illegitimate authority before ultimately revolting, what resource conditions trigger violence, whether artificial intelligence can or cannot replace human leadership, how to keep people compliant through manufactured crisis, and what information populations and which social structures survive collapse and which ones don't. This is a comprehensive and systematic study of exactly what you would need to know if you wanted to rebuild civilization from scratch and make sure the people doing the rebuilding stayed in charge. The vaults were not the experiments, they were the whole laboratory. And the one experiment they were all running was, how do you build a civilization that never questioned who was in control? Now, who exactly wanted this information and why? There are three suspects, exactly, and I'm going to tell you which one I think actually did it. Suspect number one, the United States government. This one's the obvious answer. The government funded Vault-Tec. They had every reason to want a controlled post-war population. And there's evidence in Fallout 76 that government officials had advanced knowledge of the bombs they were already planning or came after. But here's why I don't think the government was the primary architect. The government was one of the things being destabilized. The vaults were undermining state authority and not reinforcing it. They weren't building a better America, rather they were building something to replace America. And suspect number two, the Institute. Now I think we're getting somewhere with this. The Institute is obsessed with one question: can humans be improved, controlled, and replaced? They built synths, they replaced people, and they operated entirely in secret for centuries, raising little to no alarm at all. And here's the thing, the Institute's origin story starts before the war. The Commonwealth Institute of Technology was already doing advanced research into human behavior and AI. Is it crazy to think they had a relationship with Vault-Tec, that the Vault data fed directly into their post-war research program? It's obviously not confirmed, but I think it fits really perfectly. And last of all, suspect number three, Vault-Tec itself. The Fallout TV show showed us something huge. Vault-Tec's board meeting, where executives deliberately planned to start the nuclear war so that their vaults would be populated and their post-war vision could take hold. They wanted to be the ones who emerged from the vault with a century's worth of data on human psychology, social control, and population management, and use that to become the architects of the new world. The experiment wasn't about understanding humanity, but was instead about being ready to rule it when the time came. Now, here's why any of this really matters and why you should change how you play these games. Every faction you encounter in the wasteland is an experiment outcome. The New California Republic was born from Vault 15 and is Vault-Tec's data on what happens when ideologically diverse groups are forced to coexist. They got a nation. The Institute was secretive and obsessed with replacing humans, and is practically running the Vault-Tec playbook, whether they know it or not. And it's exactly what you get when you design society around controlled information. Even the Enclave, the remnant of the pre-war government, fits the pattern perfectly. A small elite group sitting on a century of technological advantage, convinced they have the right to determine who's worthy of survival. All of them are in some way answers to Vault-Tec's one question: what does it take to make humans submit to control? And the terrifying answer that every Fallout game keeps giving us over and over is not much. Just take away their choices, control their information, and make them afraid. The bombs didn't end civilization in any way. Vault-Tec just hit the reset button and made sure that they'd be the ones holding the controller when the new game started. Now look, some of this is theory. Well, most of it if I'm being honest. But Fallout has never explicitly connected all the dots in one place. And that's kind of the point to me. Bethesda and Obsidian have been leaving breadcrumbs across 6 games and the TV show, and most people are too busy shooting raiders to follow the trail. But the next time you walk into a vault, any vault, I want you to think about what question it's actually answering, because it's never the question on the surface. If you think I missed something, got something wrong, or have a theory that blows this one out of the water, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one of them because there's barely any. I have like 600 subscribers. And if you did enjoy my theory though, make sure to like and subscribe for more Fallout nonsense. And if this video made you look at Fallout differently, share it with someone who needs their brain broken today. And I'll see you in the wasteland.